His physical courage was matched by his moral courage.
So we remember a man who inspired all of us.
Filled with dignity and grace of the true hero that he was.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
And then all of a sudden, while listening to the music, this voice comes across the disc jockey. The Japanese are attacking Pearl Harbor.
No, it is a real war.
3 planes flew overhead. We were preparing ourselves to go to a church. And I knew right away something was going to happen to all of us.
On December 7th, 1941, Japan launched an attack on Pearl Harbor, initiating war with the Japanese Empire, but it also started a personal war in Japanese Americans' hearts. War efforts began to rise, and many Japanese Americans fought to prove their loyalty and citizenship to America. Despite anti-Asian sentiment during World War II, Daniel Inouye broke down racial barriers by diligently fighting for America in the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, going on after the war to be the first Japanese American to run for Senate, and making influential decisions that pushed towards civil rights. Although Daniel Inouye risked his life for America during World War II, he continued to fight for his beliefs through service in the government, leaving a lasting legacy. The startup of war also led to distrust in the Japanese Americans. Discrimination was primarily influenced by the government.
We knew that some among them were potentially dangerous.
Anti-Japanese propaganda flooded the media. It was the government's strategy to dehumanize the enemy in warfare, motivating troops for battle and emphasizing patriotism.
We are as different from ourselves as any people on this planet.
Political cartoons and propaganda posters made the Japanese look frightening and bloodthirsty. This fear led people to become afraid of the Japanese people living in America. Executive Order 9066 was established on February 19, 1942, which ordered all Japanese Americans in certain areas of America to relocate to internment camps to reduce espionage during war.
Military authorities therefore determined that all of them, citizens and aliens alike, would have to move.
More than 110,000 Japanese Americans were incarcerated. Internment camps had guard towers and barbed wires restricting freedom and opportunities. Many Japanese Americans had businesses that they were forced to leave behind. Japanese Americans serving in the army were prohibited due to government suspicion. After petitioning to allow Japanese Americans to join the military, the 442nd Regimental Combat Team was formed on February 1st, 1943, and thousands of Japanese, mainly from Hawaii, joined. Daniel Inouye broke down racial barriers by diligently fighting for America in the 442nd Regimental Combat Team. The 442nd Regimental Combat Team fought in the European theater front lines. The Japanese on this team showed great valor and became the most decorated unit in U.S. history.
All of you Americans of Japanese descent have a right to be proud.
While fighting in Italy, on April 21st, 1945, Daniel Inouye took down a machine gun platoon, but got hit in the stomach by a sniper. He continued fighting, then a German rifle grenade hit his arm, shredding it. Inouye pried the grenade out of his hand and launched it. Inouye got shot in the leg, then finally passed out. His arm was amputated without anesthesia, and his dreams of becoming a surgeon were lost. On September 2nd, 1945, Japan surrendered after the atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The GI Bill was passed on June 22, 1944, to help World War II veterans go back to school and continue their careers. Daniel Inouye was awarded with a Purple Heart, Bronze Star Medal, World War II Victory Medal, and a Distinguished Service Cross for his wartime efforts. His award was upgraded to the Medal of Honor in June of 2000. Although Daniel Inouye could no longer become a surgeon, the GI Bill helped him enter into economics, another topic of interest for Inouye. Shortly after he graduated from the University of Hawaii, then Washington Law School, he entered into Hawaii politics and was voted into the Territorial House of Representatives during the Democratic Revolution of 1954. In 1956, he was then elected Territorial Senate. Even though some of the Hawaiian people were against Hawaii becoming a state, Daniel Inouye contributed to Hawaii becoming a state under the direction of John Burns, who headed the Hawaii Democratic Party. Many native Hawaiians who opposed the overthrow of the monarchy felt that Hawaii becoming a state weakened their position. Some also feared an ethnic minority, mainly Asian American, would govern the state of Hawaii because it was no longer an appointed territorial government. Hawaii achieving statehood resulted in elected representation in the Congress and the Senate. Inouye gained popularity in the islands for being a wartime hero, so after Hawaii's accession to statehood, Inouye was elected to serve in the U.S. House of Representatives and Congress. Then shortly after, in 1962, Daniel Inouye went on to be the first Japanese American and representative from Hawaii to run for Senate. Daniel Inouye represented Hawaii ever since Hawaii joined the Union. His first legislation were towards Hawaiian economy being more involved in federal spending and bureaucracy. Inouye contributed to securing funding for the Kalaupapa National Historic Park, as well as the continued preservation of the USS Arizona Memorial. Daniel Inouye gained the spotlight multiple times by helping investigate both the Watergate scandal, which led to the resignation of Nixon, and the Iran-Contra affair. Inouye became president pro tempore after the death of one of his good friends, Senator Robert Beard. He entered the Commerce Committee, and he was a longtime member of the Senate Appropriations Committee. He remained on both of these committees through the rest of his Senate career. Daniel Inouye made influential decisions that pushed towards civil rights. Inouye was one of the many senators who rejected the Discriminatory Defense of Marriage Act in the 1990s. He led the Fight for Americans with Disabilities Act and contributed to the constitutional amendment to extend voting rights. Inouye fought for reparations for Japanese Americans who were interned during the war. His significant role in society as a Japanese American inspired many citizens to take action regardless of race. Daniel Inouye also contributed to the Native Hawaiian and American Indian rights by taking part in the Senate Indian Affairs Committee. In 2013, a year after his death, he was awarded the Medal of Freedom, which is given to individuals who have made admirable contributions to the security and national interests of the United States. Daniel Inouye dedicated his entire life towards helping the public. He joined the war to fight for America and prove his loyalty. He went on after the war to become a senator, and he contributed significantly to America politically while serving in the government. Despite the wartime racial discrimination and frontline casualties, Inouye continued to fight for America. It was his desire to serve that broke racial, political, and economic barriers. His courage that continued after the war is what left his long-lasting legacy. Daniel Inouye is an example of bravery and devotion to a country he would call his own, the United States of America.